Hello, can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay, thank you, Lane, for introducing me. Lane introduced that like until now, it was all related to ZK, and this is different topics, but actually it's like some relation to the ZK. So if you enjoyed the last like 2-3 talks, I hope you can enjoy this talk as well. And so, hi, my name is Makoto, and I'm from ENS Labs, creator behind the Ethereum name service. And usually I talk about like things I'm building right now or I have already built, and so I can just keep talking about what I've done. Today, slightly different. That I'm going to talk about a kind of future that the showing how ENS is evolving from the simple naming service to the foundation of decentralized identity as Namechain. And this is actually the topic our newly appointed CTO Jeff Lau just coined just a week ago. So I'm also kind of learning. So if I see looking down the notes, because I'm just reading referring to the notes from Jeff, so bear with me. Okay, so let's start. So ENS as a humble beginning started about solving blockchains as a fundamental UX issue that probably any of you have seen this kind of hexadecimal that like basically this is a Ethereum addresses, and this is problematic if we all talking about bringing blockchain to like millions or billions of users. But if the first entry point, first thing people see is this kind of hexadecimal things, it's massive blocking to all the new users. However, so this matoku.is is my kind of ENS name. I always hang it in every conference I go. And so ENS transforms these complex addresses into something humans really understand. Names. The concept of name is universally familiar. From birth, all of you must be given names, and you will carry on till your last day. And this cryptographic hash represents represents your Ethereum wallet, or also you can be used for hosting the decentralized web services, or setting avatar text record and all that stuff. And this is mostly to that ENS is here to serve for humans, not for machines. And the ENS is designed with 3 different characteristics, and I think one character falls into another character. And let me talk you through the first characteristic is being decentralized. So ENS is built on no single person or entity control the anything related to ENS. ENS is all written in a smart contract, and all the logic is written as a code as a law. And this ensures resilience and prevents central points of failure of control. And this part of let me just elaborate a bit more on this part. Is I think decentralization is really important for the name service. The name is actually fundamental intellectual property of everybody, and you do get I think we have received some message of I have the owner of this name and you should take it down. But by protocol design, we have no entity to take over someone's names. That's done by principle. It causes some issues for the entity who's already squatted, and squatting happens all the time. I think probably Google.is nor Amazon.is are not owned by Google nor Amazon, and we don't actually have any way to take it down. But at the same time, this also prevents some a superpower to take over your name either. And this decentralization allows you to build kind of permissionless system as well. So for example, all the ETH registration, again, anyone can register without relying on central entities like ENS Labs, while other kind of competing name services, or quite often many NFT minting services, there is a centralized entity, and you can only mint it and given through them. But in our case, actually, that's not the case. Yeah, and also the last bit, and we are building a system to be credit neutral, that we don't have any kind of privileged entity to control the name either. And all the decision is actually controlled by the DAO. And even though like DAO through the voting system, even though like I think managing many people's opinion is not straightforward, this also ensures the permissionless and the decentralized nature of ENS. So in terms of the usage, ENS is one of the oldest Web3 project, which launched started back in 2016, launched in 2017, and we have over nearly 2 million so-called on-chain names, name and the record Ethereum address information mapped into the Ethereum layer 1. But we also have been working on a scaling issue, and we developed our internal protocol to be able to specify the content outside of Ethereum layer 1 we call off-chain. Using that, we actually have nearly 10 times more active names issued through the usage of so-called subnames, such as like if you download a Uniswap wallet, all the Uniswap wallet user actually can have a .uni.is Ethereum addresses. And but this is great. Like we have a benefit, almost acting as a de facto name provider, but it's coming with lots of issues, especially the scalability issue. That like when we first like launched the protocol back in 2017, and like Ethereum price was like about I think $200, and the gas cost was negligible. But now to the point like anything you do in Ethereum layer 1 is so cost prohibitive. So that's why in 2024, we announced Namechain, our purposely built layer 2 solution. Namechain and our upgraded architecture, ENS version 2, represents the next blockchain backbone of ENS, designed specifically to address the challenges while maintaining our core principle. And the first characteristic of the Namechain is a ZK rollup. We leverage zero-knowledge proof as validity proofs. Once these proofs are published on chain, they are already verified. No waiting period required. And this was, I think, first requirement we kind of decided to pick when we are still in an area of choosing which chain we build on top of. And when I think Uma from Succinct mentioned multiple times about like how fraud proof requires you to wait for up to 7 days of challenge period. And how we actually enable this off-chain data storage is not suitable for such a long challenge period, because we have built an on-chain system to be able to verify the layer 2 data on layer 1 almost in real time. And to do that, we require the L2 data to be settled in layer 1 in relatively with a fast finality. So for that, like we decided to team up with Linear, and we will be building the chain on Linear's chain stack. Okay, and next, I think again, a Namechain aims to be based or even native rollup. I think the topic of native rollup came up multiple times in this conference as well, and it's kind of hot topic. So base rollup bundles multiple transactions together off-chain and periodically send proof to layer 1 validators for verification. While traditional rollup use their own dedicated sequencer, base rollup leverages Ethereum itself as a sequencer, ensuring that the transaction ordering and the verification remain decentralized secure. Again, I think this is very important for ethos of the ENS. That when in the very beginning, I mentioned the 3 attributes of decentralized, permissionless, and credibly neutral. But that was possible in layer 1. But as soon as you move to the layer 2, where sequencer is is not decentralized, we will have we will face the kind of censorship issue from day one. So this is trying to build as a base rollup is very kind of almost like a must. And we had we gather like a kind of top expert in that area through Linear team, and also there's what I call Status, which is will be becoming the first fork of Linear, and it was like EF experts such like Justin Drake, and we had a kind of brainstorming section back in January that like we will try to launch with a base rollup. But again, there's a new notion of like a native rollup where it will have a pre-compiled to be able to verify the proof on upcoming Ethereum hardcore fork. When that becomes available, we'll probably be the first ones to apply to be as closely to the Ethereum's decentralization and the security trust assumptions. Okay, so Namechain will be the home of names, and the user will be able to register is like without censorship and everything. But this is what we've already been doing for the last 7 years. And so our vision of ENS is that names are just a start. Names are the beginning of our identity, not the end. And the humans, we start with names. But our journey and experience throughout our life, that makes us who we are today. That is the core of our identity. And Namechain will become the home of identity. Is a dream we have with ENS. And there's so many people try to create kind of decentralized identity, but I think the last few years of the rise of the various cryptographic technology, especially in the area of ZK, I think we are getting close to achieve that goal. So currently, how it works is, again, like I keep saying, like ENS is a simple name mapping protocol. That name points to the record, and you can actually put anything. You can point name to the address. Actually, you don't necessarily own, but there's not much incentive for people to set into random stuff. Hence, you don't do. But what we're trying to add is to name to be able to point to the verified record. And where the integrity and the authenticity of each record can be cryptographically proven. This shift adds a new dimension to the trust of the ENS ecosystem. And again, using these tools, which again, I think these companies and projects, other talks have already mentioned, but one of the examples is ZK Mail. You can use a pure ZK proof to prove the contents and the sender of the email without revealing sensitive information. And the ZK TLS, also known as web proof, uses ZK and multi-party computation to extract data from any Web2 source that use TSL and bring it to on-chain without revealing any sensitive information. And the bottom line is, this protocol allows you to connect Web 2 to Web 3 without the use of trusted third party to be able to do information. So I think it used to be the attempt to verify kind of online credential is not a new thing. But most of the previous attempt was done along the line of attestation, that you have to introduce another kind of centralized body to be able to kind of attest certain truths on behalf of you. So you're just adding a new new level of trust assumption. Whereas something like ZK Mail or ZK TLS, you only have the issuer and you, and there's no somewhere in the middle ground as a middleman. You only trust kind of blockchain and the ZK proof to be able to verify on chain. So to bring up this into the ENS, today actually we already have one feature which is a kind of verifiable record, is the primary name. So most of the time I keep saying like you map name to the address, but there is so we call it for resolution, but there is another way to map address back to name. Why this is very important? Because by mapping address to name is something you can only done through if you are the owner of the address by signing the signature. Of course, you can set the random, my address I can set to vitalik.is. But in the reverse resolution logic, we also have a logic to say if this address points to name, you also do the forward logic to back check that this name is also points to the address. So by doing the cross check, you can kind of do verify the name. The address points to the name, and the name points to the address. So this already exists, and it becomes quite powerful. That I think if you look into the various, for example, DAO voting platform, you can actually see, or like EtherScan, you can actually see the list of names, ETH names, who has done this transaction or who has voted this DAO proposal. It's already there. Beyond that, you can actually add X. GitHub or LinkedIn. I wanted to show, okay, maybe you can't, okay. I wanted to show something, but like you only show the slide, so that's okay. And but in future, hold on. Yeah, the likes of ZK email and the ZK-TLS allows us to extend the verification to counter other record types. Like you're probably going to see lots of check marks like this. Yeah. So, okay, so you can do a verifiable record, and what are the use cases? If you have listened to Uma's talk about an hour ago, she actually spent like half of her talk about like off-chain use cases, like ZK's being proven to be very useful on-chain, but that's kind of for the niche application, and it's only becoming exciting once. With kind of real-world asset or bringing real worlds to on-chain. Previously, it was only be done by kind of trusted Oracle assumption system, but you can actually do it with lots of ZK technologies. And one of the stuff you could do by having a verified credential is the spoof prevention. So when sending payments to the ENS name, you can confirm that they are associated with a public profile that you know and have interacted in the past. And imagine, and again, these things can be done in isolation, but the power is the fact that it's tied into your identity and your favorite name. And imagine if you are trying to do, send someone through MetaMask, or probably the wallet you have you have used before, that if your familiar social media names are kind of appears, and if it's certain that it's verified correctly, you're more likely to be able to trust. And I think I only have a few minutes, so I'm gonna just speed up a bit. And also civil resistance, that like an Ethereum address, anyone can create like hundreds of addresses, and anyone can actually register hundreds of ENS names, or you can create lots of subnames, but attaching lots of kind of other credential is getting a lot of, will be exponentially more difficult, which increases the civil resistance. And related to that, you can do private verification of data. I'll start skipping a bit because I only have a few minutes left, but again, I think these things actually Uma actually repeated just an hour ago, so that's good that we are all in I think it's good Web3 is all about multi-party building towards the same goal, and I'm excited actually talking to many big brains in this room to talk about what other ways to kind of supplement each other. But conditional access and portable reputation. And with these things, the use case we thought about. But now that there's lots of tools available, I think there's more interesting use case can be built on top of it. Okay, so there are only a few slides left. This is almost end of my talk, but back in 2017, we launched two solve very simple problem of solving human readable name. And around 2021, with the use of primary name, and we started calling Web3 that like ENS is actually the portal Web3 username. But now in the era of 2025, by combining with a powerful toolkit of like ZK-related verifiable credential, ENS can enhance the usability more by becoming the portable identity. And again, I repeat it so many times, but each component on its own is less useful. And the power of ENS is the fact that we've been integrated to almost like thousands of different wallets and exchanges and dApps. And the more dApps and these wallets recognize that we actually not just have a name resolution, but also have the verifiable credential, they can start showing the kind of more credible information in their app through ENS. Yeah, and this is the same. And again, I think currently it's already been doing the on-chain world, but we hope that like, in the next 2-3 years, you can start seeing in a real world, like, you know, for example, if you go to your clinic and if you sign in with Ethereum address, you may have some like some information like, you know, you are above a certain age without rebuilding the whole like medical history and the stuff. We hope that this can extend to the real world. And yeah, so just to recap, we've been very successful as a names, but like it's just a foundation building block. And we as a ENS on the name chain, we strive to be the foundation of a building block for the identity. Identity is a destination. And this is it. Thank you very much.